It's not quite an age-old question, and it's by no means a no-brainer. But for a tennis aficionado like ourselves, the question has to be asked. Should I stencil my racket? Do I have the cachet to do it? What sort of vibes does it get off? Does it have any potential benefits? Today, we discuss on 2 Minute Tuesday. Yes, guys, in the words of A Day to Remember, we're right back at it again.
Dirty. This question, whether you should stencil your racket, it certainly gives off mixed signals for the good or for the bad. Where did you even decide to ask this question?
Well, it was not a question that I asked. It was just something I saw you doing. And I wrote this off as just shenanigans, normal nonsense that you've been doing.
Well, I will give my reasons for why I always stencil my racket.
Okay.
But tell us about this book.
Yeah, so I mean, I've seen Caleb do it forever, and then eventually it started to grow on me, and I was like, ooh, I kind of want to stencil my racket. And I eventually got on the train, and I was listening to an amazing tennis podcast called Tennis Anyone by Michael Costa, and a random episode, he mentioned, always stencil your racket. And I like the guy so much. He's a funny guy. So I bought his book that he wrote. He's a comedian now, but he's also a world 600 former tennis player. And his number one rule, stencil your racket. And I take this guy seriously. Not him so much, but when someone else starts talking about it, I start listening. You've seen the best players in the club or in your tournament. Word quickly spreads with rumors and results of sponsors. Bill gets Prince rackets for free, someone says. I know because they make him stencil his rackets. Well, Bill's first round match is already won before he even steps on the court. Yet any player can easily stencil his racket, and the effect is incalculable.
I mean, for me, it was strictly aesthetics. It was nothing about intimidation towards the other opponent, like Michael Costa would say. I just think that a plain racket is it's just lacking something. This is begging to have a red Wilson W on it.
Yeah.
This coral snake of a racket right now could go up a notch in flair with that stencil. But if you pull up this freshly stenciled Dunlop CX that I wield, that looks amazing.
And I initially thought that Dunlop was too busy, like too much going on. I kind of like the Babolat stencil, but now I'm the complete opposite. The Babolat stencil, it's not enough, and Dunlop is like just sick.
It is this feeling that you look like the pros, so you feel good. When you feel good, you play good, and when you play good, they pay good. Except not at our level, but you get what I'm saying. When you do feel like, when you dress the part, your racket looks good, it helps a little bit mentally to give you that. And you were saying, Ben, about this Walmart racket that's been stenciled since the day we bought it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What the heck were you saying about the stenciling?
It doesn't come off. Like, you could hit with it forever, and it won't go anywhere. It's like, it doesn't wear off, and I don't know why.
Permanent print, like, I don't know how they do that, versus, this is already well faded after just a couple hitting sessions.
And I've stenciled it multiple times. It's like on the top of the strings, it's gone. It's only on the sides. But this, it's still on the top of the strings, where you would theoretically, a little worn off here on the sweet spot, but still on top.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to stencil. I mean, this was $4.
So I was editing the vid and I realized I totally forgot to mention the main drawback I have with stenciling, and that would be fresh yellow tennis balls being marred by the ink that's not given enough time to dry. It'll stain it, just aesthetically ruin. There's nothing quite like a fresh can, and when you smear all this blank ink on it, it's a no-go for me. I'm reading Andre Agassi's book Open, and he was saying this was a major annoyance for him as well, so I know I'm not the only one that shares this thought. Anyways, back to the original clip.
Yeah. And this, $4.
The shelf life and the usability on this thing is going to last forever, assuming you don't trash it.
Yeah, and if you do, it's no big deal. Just buy another one.
This was $0. It's homemade. It cut out from a cereal box. But it gets the job
It works.
done.
I've seen that Yonex stencil multiple times, and I had no idea that it was
Exactly. You could never call it out from the naked eye saying this is a freaking fraudulent stencil.
Yeah.
And then again, This is like $3.99, so $4.
But we do have a cereal box with the Dunlop cut into it somewhere.
This one was more difficult to make at home. The Yonex not so much, so the Dunlop we did have to purchase. All right, let's talk about the signal it gives. When you come up with a fresh racket that's stenciled, what are you portraying to others around you that see that?
One, it's that I care about the details of the game. I'm not just out here to like get some exercise or casually hit around. I've at the very least seen the pros and am trying to emulate them. And like the pros may do it because they're sponsored, but they're still doing it, and it gives off a certain image, and that's what I think it portrays.
It means you mean business.
Yeah.
But I also know that, as we talked about earlier, Walmart rackets already come stenciled.
Yeah.
So it could mean you're an extreme novice.
Yeah. Well, I think the differentiator is what racket you have stenciled. If I see this thing, I'm not going to mistake you for a pro. Like, I'm not going to see a giant balloon of a head and think, oh man, this guy knows what he's doing. If I know the racket, or if it's a really old racket and has a stencil, that it gives off different vibes than something that's clearly a piece of crap.
and we're not here to shame novices that are just starting the sport at all.
Yeah. We need more people in tennis. Like, screw pickleball.
Yeah, we're happy when we see rookies picking up rackets. So.
Yeah.
But it's also a dangerous game because you give off this confident aura that you know what you're doing.
Right.
But then when you start hitting balls and they go AWOL everywhere all over the court and you can't back up your message with your play, it leaves you as a wannabe.
Yeah.
Which is at times, most times, at all times, what I'm guilty of. So just keep that in mind, I suppose.
Like, yeah, be careful.
Yeah, all these mental games.
If you're strutting around like a peacock, at least have something to back yourself up. At least look good in your warm-ups. Like, at least make the other person be like, all right, maybe even if this guy can't play, like, he clearly knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So in summary, it means you mean business, it means you're a rookie, or it means you're a try-hard wannabe. It's up to you to decide. Like and subscribe, dang it. We're trying to grow this channel.
Yeah, and Michael Costa, come to Richmond and hit up our YouTube channel. We'll go hit. We'll have a good time.
It'll be a win-win marketing for either of us. So we'll scratch each other's backs, literally and figuratively.
See ya.